The arrogant doctor who lost everything because of one stupid patient. Dr. Richard Carter had spent years building his reputation as a top surgeon, but his skills were overshadowed by his arrogance. He saw patients as beneath him, treating them with disdain rather than care. His colleagues whispered about his attitude, but no one dared to challenge him. After all, he was successful, wealthy, and untouchable, or so he thought. One day, Mark Reynolds, a patient suffering from chronic pain, walked into Dr. Carter's office, desperate for answers. He had been struggling for months, and after seeing multiple doctors with no results, he hoped that Dr. Carter, the so-called best, could finally help. But instead of listening, the doctor smirked, barely glancing at Mark's medical records, before dismissing him entirely. Asterisk, you're just another hypochondriac looking for attention. There's nothing wrong with you. Asterisk, he scoffed, waving him off like an inconvenience. Mark tried to explain, but Dr. Carter rolled his eyes and tossed a prescription onto the desk. Asterisk, here, take these if it makes you feel better, but stop wasting my time. Mark left the office humiliated and furious, but instead of accepting defeat, he decided to fight back. If Dr. Carter treated him this way, how many others had suffered because of his arrogance? That's when Mark had an idea. He would gather evidence, expose the truth, and bring the doctor down in a way he'd never recover from. Over the next several weeks, Mark set a plan into motion. He scheduled follow-up appointments, each time secretly recording their conversations. The evidence piled up quickly. Dr. Carter repeatedly misdiagnosed patients, dismissed legitimate concerns, and prescribed unnecessary medications without a second thought. Mark even discovered that Carter was pushing certain drugs simply because pharmaceutical reps had paid him to do so. This wasn't just arrogance. This was dangerous malpractice. Once Mark had everything he needed, he struck. He anonymously sent the recordings and documents to the medical board, local news stations, and even influential health blogs. The scandal exploded overnight. Headlines screamed about the reckless surgeon endangering patients, and within days, an official investigation was launched. Dr. Carter, once the untouchable medical elite, was now under intense scrutiny. The evidence was undeniable, and soon, the medical board made its decision. His license was revoked permanently. But the fallout didn't stop there. The public backlash was relentless. His colleagues distanced themselves. No hospital would even consider hiring him, and former patients came forward with their own horror stories. He tried applying for jobs outside of medicine, but every background check revealed the scandal. No company wanted a disgraced doctor tied to their name. His savings dwindled as legal fees and debts piled up. His once lavish lifestyle crumbled before his eyes. Months later, Mark walked into a small coffee shop, ordering his usual. When he heard a familiar voice, he turned and saw Dr. Carter, his once expensive suit replaced with a cheap uniform, standing behind the counter as a cashier. Their eyes met, and for the first time, there was no arrogance in the doctor's gaze, only shame. Mark smirked slightly, taking his coffee as the once mighty surgeon mumbled, asterisk, next customer, please.